welcome to the Normal Intuitive episode 20. My name is Nancy. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you joining me for the first time, I am a psychic medium. I do readings. I have been psychic my entire life, but I'm also very normal besides that. I have 2 children. I have 1 in spirit, and I have 2 dogs, 2 cats. I'm a military spouse, and life is pretty chaotic most of the time, all the time. And now that it's the holidays, it's kind of upped that. I don't know about you all, but my kids, their tantrums and their impatience and their just reactions, they just all seem to be amplified during the holiday season. And I know this happens every single year. It doesn't make it any easier. So that is my life. In addition to being a psychic medium, I'm just pretty normal. I haven't done a podcast in a while. I kind of stepped away from it. Life just kind of gets in the way when you have kids in school and things going on. But I've mentioned before that the universe will send you signs when you're supposed to do something. And if you don't do something, it'll just keep sending you more signs. And in the last 24 hours, I had 2 different people mention my podcast to me. And it's interesting because I didn't know anyone was listening to these. So I took it as my sign. I needed to do another one. With all of these podcasts, I never have a plan for doing them. I don't have notes. I just kind of speak off the cuff. And that's why, forgive me. Sometimes they can be a bit repetitive, perhaps. I don't know. One of my friends that's a business owner would say, don't be negative about yourself. Never be negative about yourself with customers. But I'm sorry, I can't be repetitive. I am so imperfect. It's funny, which makes it even funnier that I'm a psychic medium. Because I look at this and I go, really? God, you could have picked so many other people that are kinder and less selfish and all of these things. And you pick me to have these abilities. God has to have a sense of humor. Not just because of, some of the animals that are around, but because they picked me to have this ability, I am so imperfect. And I was calling myself the hot mess psychic on Instagram and on my videos. And I thought it was really funny because I really feel like a hot mess. And again, I have, these friends that are in business and they go, you can't say that. You can't say that you're a hot mess. It's very negative. People aren't going to want to do readings with you if you're a hot mess. But I am, and I own it. It doesn't mean I'm a hot mess with you. It doesn't mean that when I do a reading, I am unprofessional. Quite the opposite. When I am in a reading, I am in the zone. I am in that psychic medium, picking up the phone, talking to God zone. I am probably the least hot mess when I am in a reading, which is hysterical. But all the rest of the time, I'm quite just all over the place. So that being said, I never have a plan for these things, but I feel something kind of tugging at me, and I'm resistant to chat about it because it's morose, and I hate, I don't hate sadness. But I don't want to go there, but I just feel like I need to. I feel this pushing. So hold on to your bootstraps, what does that even mean? I guess, New England, that makes sense to me now, living in New England, like bootstraps. But anyway, hold on. This is going to be a little sad, maybe. So if you're not in the mood for a little, maybe introspection, maybe just stop it right now. So if you're going to stop it, just in case, one-question.net is where you can go for readings. Other than that, hold on. Let's get into the sadness. So I posted a blog today. I posted on social media. I originally wrote it on Saturday. I had someone that I knew from afar, an acquaintance, pass on Friday from ovarian cancer. Her name was Brittany Crosby. She was 30 years old. I say she was an acquaintance, but I knew her pretty well from Instagram. She was such a light and such a spirit, and I encourage you to go check out her Instagram. Her light was just, you could feel it. And she would post these Instagram stories every day, all the time, just about the living that she was doing. And she never let cancer define her. Cancer was a part of her life. It wasn't all of her life. And she lived up right until the end. And if you read my blog, it talks more about how we just all thought she was going to make it because she just had such a spirit to her. She just didn't let things get her down. And her motto was live life on purpose. # live life on purpose. That's the blog. That's it. I'm assuming what I'll title this podcast. because you have to. You have to live life like you want to. And we are so into our phones and social media. Our generation, Gen X, millennials, we are so into our phones, and we end up missing so many darn things. We miss life. And I don't want to miss any more life than I have to. I don't want to miss moments. And I find that I do, because I need a break from the kids, because I need a break from life. And so I go on Twitter, I zone out, I go on Instagram, and I'm starting to realize maybe it's all cracked up to be as far as zoning out. Because you miss out on actually having to deal with maybe a spouse that hasn't taken out the garbage, or issues that maybe you're avoiding or whatever. But at least you're living, you're facing things. And as hard as that is, I don't know, is it better than avoiding things? I think so. So the day that Brittany passed, I went in for a baseline MRI for my boobs. So I had a mammogram, I had an ultrasound, and about a year ago on my mammogram, they found a little spot. And they confirmed it on ultrasound, and they didn't think it warranted a biopsy at the time. So they decided to bring me back in 6 months, which was maybe last month. I did a repeat. Now, the good news is that spot, they didn't think it changed. But just to be sure, they referred me to what they call a breast specialist. This is really interesting. So she's a breast specialist. She is a surgeon. So she would do all the surgeries, but she I don't know. She just knows boobs. So anyway, so I went and chatted with her, and she recommended an MRI, and she said, heads up. She said, MRI, she said, they give a lot of false positives. So they'll find things that warrant biopsies. They don't really mean any, so they can get you worried. She's like, but an MRI is between the MRI and the ultrasound and the mammogram, you're going to be covered as far as what's inside your boobs. So I said, okay. And honestly, I didn't take it that seriously. I rescheduled the appointment twice because I was like, I don't want to go in for a freaking MRI. I don't want to go into a tube. And, I have better things to do than get an IV in my vein. So anyway, so I went Black Friday. I went with the promise I was going to go shopping afterwards with a friend. And I went, and I thought about Brittany, because she has had so many MRIs in her life, so many with her struggles through cancer. And for a split second, I thought about how I hadn't seen a post from her in 24 hours. And usually she's very active on her Instagram stories. And I hadn't seen a post from her. And I thought, well, what if? And I immediately checked it out of my mind, but I really, in honor of her, in honor for what she had talked about going through so many CAT scans and stuff, I tried to really be present during the ultrasound or during the MRI. And I listened to the machine, and I meditated, and the half hour went by really quickly. And I wore my cat onesie pajamas or whatever. It's just a cat onesie. I don't think they're pajamas. I've worn them out in honor of just being silly and living life on purpose. And I got some great reactions, people just saying how much they love my outfit, but that's not why I wore it. I wore it because life is too short to be taken seriously. So I have these cat onesie with Santa hats. There's a picture on the blog if you really want to know what this cat with Santa hat onesie is. And I wore it, and it was a good time. Kind of didn't, and then I got the news when I came home that Britt had passed, and I was grieving for her, and I wrote this blog on Saturday. Everything's fine. So a couple days ago, I am minding my own business, and I get a phone call from my breast specialist. And she says, hey, they found something. We need to go in for a biopsy. And all I could do was joke, because she's explaining this to me, and she goes, well, she's like, we're going to put a metal marker in so I can find it if I have to go in. And the first thing that came to my mind was, I said, oh, cool. Will I set off the metal detectors? And she kind of stopped because she's being very serious. This is a very serious thing. And she said, what? She said, no, you won't set off the metal detectors. And I was actually disappointed because if you're going to put something in my boob, at least let it set off the metal detectors. Wouldn't that be hysterical? Because you go through these things at like the airports, and can you imagine it like dinging like right by my boob and them having to go over the wand? I mean, I don't know. I would think it would be a little amusing. But anyway, doctor was just like, what is with you? But anyway, she said, you have to go in, you have to buy the special zip up bra, which I had no idea was needed, but zip up bras are the thing that you need for biopsies and for people going through breast cancer, and also any augmentation, you need the zip up bra. So I got my experience shopping for a zip up bra. And I'm like, wow, these are, new experiences that I'm having. And again, I could be worried. And truth be told, it's bugging me a little. But I have to just laugh about it because what else am I going to do? And it sucks. And I hate my boobs already. I think boobs, after you're nursing, after you're done with kids, or if you never want to have kids, I think you should have the option to just get rid of them. They get in my way. They don't do anything for me. They're only for the other gender, or the gender that likes boobs, or the person that likes boobs, whoever that is, man, woman, whoever. I don't need them. And I actually joked with her at my initial consultation with her, like, why can't I just get rid of them? It gets my cancer risk out of the way. I don't need them. Like, think about it, boobs are the most useless thing beyond nursing. What do they really do? Okay, and I'm not talking about sex. I'm not even going to get into that one. But, they just get in the way. I work out, and every time I run, they get in the way. My shirts don't fit properly. Come on. And everyone has boobs that are different. And when you get older, and I always heard this growing up, so I apologize for men that are listening. But I heard this growing up that your boobs drop after you have kids. I didn't know what the heck that meant. And now I'm 38 and I realize, shoot, they really do start to drop. There's no useful thing for boobs after you have kids, or if you're not going to have kids. There's no point in them besides nursing. And even nursing, I know breast is best and yada, yada, yada. Don't get me started on that. I'm not debating you on the formula versus breast milk. But all I'm saying is you can even have kids now. You don't need breast milk. You don't need the boobs. So why do we have to have them? So now I have to go in for a biopsy. And it sucks because this biopsy, first of all, when I did this MRI, I had to lay down. I don't even know how they make tables like this. I had to lay down on a table and your boobs go in this sleeve. I had to take a sip of coffee. They go in a sleeve. It's the most awkward and weird thing because your boobs kind of hang when they do the MRI. And now I have to do the same thing for this biopsy. Literally, my boob's going to be in a hole. It's like you're on a table and you lay down and you put the offended boob through a hole. And then they position the needle. I'm sorry if you guys are squeamish. That's how they do the biopsy. And I'm thinking, well, that makes sense, especially because I have boobs that this spot that they're looking at is deep down inside, which is ridiculous. Forgive me, I am super grateful that they've caught the spot. Don't get me wrong. I am super duper grateful because I can't feel this thing. It's way deep in there. I am super, super grateful. This doesn't take away from me being grateful. It's just a pain in the ass. And I have to, not only that, okay, so I had to spend $20-something on a zip-up bra, which is fine, okay? I can take a bra, that's fine. And I'm grateful I can afford to have a zip-up bra. But now, in addition to that, I have to, I can't be on any multivitamins or the requirements for this biopsy are incredibly strange for what I can't take before. And then I can't work out for 3 days. I can't lift anything above 5 pounds for 3 days. And I can't run for a week. And I'm thinking, first of all, that's my stress reliever, is running and